All right, today we are diving into some of our planet's most creative and, frankly, most bizarre natural wonders. We're going to uncover the real science behind things like moving rocks, lakes that are bubblegum pink, and even waterfalls that look like they're bleeding. So let's get started.
And you know what? That is so true. I mean, we all know about beautiful mountains and oceans, but beyond those familiar landscapes, there are these phenomena that, well, they just defy easy explanation. Today, we're not just going to look at these oddities. We're going to break down the science behind what makes them tick.
And that is the big question, isn't it? We're going way beyond just scenic views to really understand the geological and biological forces that create these almost alien-like landscapes right here on our own planet.
Okay, so our first stop is the Americas. It's home to some truly mind-bending natural occurrences. And we're going to start in a place where, believe it or not, stones literally seem to come alive. Check this out. In Death Valley, California, you've got these rocks, some weighing up to 300 kilograms, that's almost 700 pounds, and they've been seen moving across the flat desert floor, leaving these long trails behind them. For decades, this was a complete mystery. Nobody knew how it was happening.
So, how on earth does a 700-pound rock just slide? Well, it turns out it's this perfect storm of conditions. First, you need just enough rain to form a really shallow pond, which then freezes overnight. Step 2, the morning sun comes out and doesn't melt all the ice, but just enough to break it into these huge, thin sheets. Then, for step 3, you need a steady, strong wind. And finally, this is the magic moment. The wind pushes those giant sheets of floating ice, and the ice acts like a bulldozer, shoving the rocks along the slick mud underneath. It's this incredible dance between water, ice, and wind.
Okay, for our next stop, we're looking at how incredible beauty can come from a totally unexpected and man-made source. This stunning hidden beach in Mexico, it wasn't carved by millions of years of erosion. Nope. It was created when the Mexican military was using this uninhabited island for target practice and literally blasted a giant hole in the top of it, revealing this paradise hiding inside.
And for all of you aspiring explorers out there, just getting to this beach is an adventure. You take about an hour-long boat ride out to the Marianas Islands, but then the only way in is to jump out and swim or paddle through this short water tunnel that opens up into this absolutely breathtaking, sun-drenched crater. It's totally invisible from the outside.
Now let's head up to Abraham Lake in Canada, where we find a site that is both beautiful and, a little bit dangerous. See, these aren't just air bubbles. They are frozen pockets of methane gas. All the decaying plants and stuff on the lake floor release this gas, and as it bubbles up to the surface, it gets trapped and freezes in these incredible stacks under the ice. It looks amazing, but that trapped methane is also highly flammable. A single lit match could create a huge chain reaction right across the ice.
All right, let's hop on a plane and fly across the planet to uncover more of nature's secrets. We're talking everything from bubblegum pink lakes to deserts covered in these really eerie circles. First up is Lake Hillier in Australia. And yeah, its bubblegum pink color is 100% natural. The leading theory is that it's all thanks to a tiny microalgae that absolutely loves the lake's super salty water. To survive, this algae produces carotenoids, which is the exact same pigment that makes carrots orange, and that's what gives the water this startling and permanent pink hue.
And listen, if you really want the best view, the most incredible contrast between that pink water, the green forest, and the deep blue ocean right next to it, you've got to see it from the sky. It's just an unforgettable sight from a helicopter or a plane.
Next, we're off to the Namib Desert, which is home to millions of these mysterious fairy circles. So, what's the deal with these? Well, scientists think it's a two-part process. As you can see, it starts above ground, with plants fighting each other for the very scarce water, which creates these bare, circular patches. But that's only half the story. Then, underneath the ground, sand termites move in and build these huge colonies, which reinforces the circles and creates this really stable, unique ecosystem. It's a fascinating partnership between plants and insects.
Now, for a phenomenon that's so predictable, you can actually set your calendar to it. Over at Sasaran Beach in Malaysia, just twice a month during the new and full moon, the tides go out so far that they leave this perfect, thin layer of water over the sand. And the result? A giant, flawless mirror that reflects the entire sky. It's a pretty brilliant display of the moon's gravity at work.
For the final leg of our tour, we're bundling up and heading to the coldest corners of the globe, where ice and light work together to create some of the most surreal sights on the entire planet.
So, in the extreme cold of places like the Arctic, you might see something that looks like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie. These massive pillars of light just reaching up into the night sky. They look completely otherworldly, but the cause is actually beautifully simple.
So here's the secret. It's a stunning optical illusion. It only happens when the air is freezing cold and totally still. This allows these tiny, flat, hexagonal ice crystals to form and just kind of float down horizontally, like falling leaves. Light from the ground, things like streetlights or car headlights, bounces off the flat bottoms of millions of these tiny crystals as they descend, and that creates the illusion of a solid pillar of light. So it's not a beam coming down, but tons of little reflections going up.
Speaking of wild sights, let's head to Antarctica's Blood Falls. This is a 5-story tall glacier that actually looks like it's bleeding a deep red color. For about a century, people just assumed it was some kind of red algae, but the real reason is so much cooler. The water is coming from an ancient saltwater lake that's been trapped under the glacier for millennia. It's packed with iron, so when that water finally hits the air for the first time, the iron oxidizes, it basically rusts, and instantly turns the water that deep, bloody red.
And for our final stop, we're going to a place that holds a ridiculous number of world records. Lake Baikal in Russia isn't just another lake, it is number one. It is the oldest, the deepest, the clearest, and the largest freshwater lake on the entire planet. And because the water there is just so incredibly pure, when it freezes in the middle of a Siberian winter, it forms this unreal turquoise ice. It's so clear you can see hundreds of feet down into the lake below. The sunlight hits these huge shards of ice, and they just glitter like giant jewels. It's a scene straight out of a fantasy book, but it's real.
Wow, what an incredible journey, right? We've seen stones that can sail themselves, a beach that was born from a bomb, and ice that looks like giant gems. Each one of these oddities tells a really unique story about just how complex and creative our planet can be.
So what have we learned from all this? I think first, our planet is absolutely full of hidden wonders. Second, that what looks like pure magic, whether it's moving rocks or pillars of light, can usually be explained by some really elegant science. And finally, it shows that the world is just out there, waiting for us to explore it.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. For every single wonder we've talked about today, there have to be countless others that are still a complete mystery. It really makes you wonder, what else is our planet hiding, just waiting for someone to find it?